without more ado, please put your hands together as we welcome our convener back to the stage to give us the industry analysis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You will agree with me that it's not easy to wear multiple caps. Yeah, but when your head is big, you have to wear plenty caps, right? Okay. And so one of our partners graciously is offering one person, I don't want to say one lucky, I don't believe in luck. One fortunate person would get a free plot of land courtesy of one of our, my abode, actually, yes. They offered us that. So I don't know who that person is. I think they will have a way to pick that. But it's somebody who doesn't know that he or she will qualify. And then you came here to be a part of the conference, but as you're going home, you'll be going home one plot of land richer. That's an exciting one. Amen. So if you have not prayed, this time to start praying, you know. This time to start praying, you know. Media, are we ready? Oh, great. Okay, so yeah, I know this conference chairs may hinder some of you, but we'll try and walk around that. Okay, yes, so Nigeria's real estate sector. You would notice, especially here, that we have, next slide, please. Some of the driving factors for the real estate as of today is rapid urbanization. It's driving demand for housing. So you see that a lot of the city is growing. For instance, Lagos in particular is growing. If you go to most urban centers also in Nigeria, you would notice that the city centers are growing. You know, they are going into new and newer developments. We are experiencing high daily influx of residents into Lagos, for instance. That's also driving demand. Of course, we have inadequate infrastructure in so many places. And then, of course, the age-old problem of government inconsistencies with policies. So here today, government gives you approval to build in a particular place, and then some years down the line, they come back and they say, hey, no, we now want to construct a road around here. So those are inconsistencies also that are bedeviling the sector. Of course, there's an estimated size of 100 trillion. Now, when it comes to figures, I'm always very, very careful with branding figures. You would know that one major challenge we have in this part of the world is that we don't have adequate records, right? So depending on the source, every source will give you its own figures. So just to be safe, the housing sector or the real estate sector is estimated to be 100 trillion naira as at today, and it also continues to grow. Okay. Let's go to the next slide, please. So looking at Lagos as a case study, you will see that we have an estimated population of 20 million. Like I say again, it depends on, because there is no official data that is reliable to back this up. Some people say 23 million, some say 25, but at least most of the people who have estimated the population of Lagos agree that we are more than 20 million, right? Okay, so 20 million people in a very small place. Now, one of the things you need to know, there's something that is called population density. Now, population density is the total population divided by the land mass. Now, we are growing in the population in Lagos, but the land mass is not growing. So, automatically, what that means is that the population density is increasing, right? Okay, so that's the implication of this. That this is also the reason for your high rent. This is the reason for the reason why the houses are expensive. So this little data has multiple impacts that it has. Okay? Of course, we have significant deficits, housing deficit that is estimated to be 3 million units. So that means that about 3 million households still need houses. And then again, some people say 10, some people say 5, some people say 6, but at least 3 million. So the housing deficit in Lagos alone is about 3 million units of houses. So that's why an agent takes you to a location and you look at the house and you say, oh, okay, I'm coming to pay tomorrow. And then by the time you are coming, somebody else has paid for it because of high demand, right? Okay, so that's one of the reasons for that. We're also seeing a lot of increase in investment. We're seeing a lot of increased investment in the sector. More and more people are beginning to realize that the real estate sector is a preferred place to invest. And not only are local companies and individuals investing, we are also seeing a lot of foreign entrants. Multiple firms from across the globe are beginning to have interest in the Lagos real estate market. So that's also driving a lot of activity. From the explanation I gave about land density and population density, you of course will understand that scarcity of land is a major issue. So in Lagos today, if you want to build a house from the scratch, your best chance of getting land is going to be on this axis. Am I right? And even at that, any resource that is limited in supply automatically leads to scarcity. So that's why we're having this scarcity. And the direct implication of the scarcity in land on this axis is that prices would continue to go up, because with the high demand, prices will definitely adjust itself upwards. And funny enough, real estate is that one area that many times sellers dictate the price. It's a seller's market. Okay, let's look at the next slide. I'm trying to make this as fast as possible. Okay, now these are some of the characteristics of the Lekki axis, this corridor where we find ourselves today. We have home to luxury real estate. So this is the place where the very best is found. Some people argue that, you have more luxury developments in Ikeja, for instance, but if you really want to have it in quantum, in large numbers, there is no debate about it, that the Lekki Peninsula presents that opportunity. Okay, so this axis is home to luxury real estate development. We are seeing the emergence of tech hubs now. And then, of course, we have the free trade zone, which has its own multiplier effect on businesses on an international dimension. Okay? Then, of course, for infrastructural development, we have new projects, the Lekki Deep Sea Port, which is already operational. Of course, the very popular Dangote refinery, which we also know is also operational, one of the biggest refineries in the world today, is located on this axis. And then, of course, the latest of the multi-dimensional developments that we have, infrastructure development that we have in this country, is the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road. That also is housed on this axis. As a matter of fact, from the plan that the government had released on that project, is going to run from Victoria Island all the way across the entire breadth of the peninsula down to other states up to Calabar in Cross River State, right? Thank you very much. Then, of course, you have high return on investment, rapid appreciation. Now, this one is a double-edged sword. For some people, it gives them cause to smile. For some other persons, it gives them cause to frown. I'll give you a typical example, and this is my own experience. I moved into the island 2021 January. The house that we moved into at the time was being sold for 80 million. Before we slept and woke up in 1 year, 2 years, it had moved to 110 million. As at 2022, it was 110 million. And then last year, the people that had to sell sold for 150 million. The same house, just a duplex in an estate. A few weeks ago, somebody was advertising another property for sale, and guess how much? About 238 million. In how many years? Now, all of you went to school. Now, don't look at me like I'm talking calculus. 2021 and 2025, how many years? In 4 years, a house has moved from 80 million to 238 million. Imagine if it was your investment. Now the gloomy faces are changed to smile. That means more money, right? So that's what we call return on investment. There's high return on investment. You buy a little property today, before you know what is happening, the price has gone up, so you have higher returns. Even though some people argue that, inflation has also gone up. But with real estate, you can adjust for inflation and still be sitting cool. All right? Okay. Is the preferred location for land developers? Obviously, because in Lagos today, this is the only axis where you have land that is undeveloped. Most other parts, well, some people can say Ikorodu. Yeah, Ikorodu has a little. But most other parts of Lagos, if you want to build, you may have to demolish an existing building. But on this corridor, you have land that has not been developed. So that's a major characteristic of this corridor. Then, of course, we have multiple estate developments. It's unbelievable. I tried many platforms to try to see if anybody had been able to estimate the number of estates, residential estates we have in Lekki. The figures are also multiple. Not one person has been able to say this is the, because there's no data to support that. But I have good reasons to believe that we have over 2,000 residential estates on this corridor. There are so many. There are some estates that are just 3 houses. Estate na estate, right? So all of those things qualify to count as an estate. So we have multiple estate developments on this area. Then high and rising costs for land acquisition, development, and rent, obviously, from all the things that we have discussed so far. This axis is also home to over 2,000 residential estates, like I have already mentioned. Now, in our presentation this year in the conference, we wanted to spotlight Ekwe axis, for instance. The reason we wanted to spotlight Ekwe is because a lot of development is going to Ekwe now. A few years ago, it was the refinery area. People were buying land and all that and building and developing, but now it appears you can't even see land to buy around there again. So the market is moving now to Ekwe. So we wanted to spotlight it, and that's the reason we actually invited the government to come let us know exactly what their plans are for that axis. But there are some things that we can see. We can see that a whole lot is happening there. Ekwe is strategically located, sitting between Lagos and other states. All right? There's growing demand for residential and commercial properties. Now, because of the road that has just been constructed, you can actually live in Ekwe and work in VI conveniently. True or false? So that's what infrastructure does for you. So that has happened now, and it has affected demand for land and property on the Ekwe axis. It's an opportunity for investment and development. There's easier access to land due to its semi-rural nature. From Ekwe, you can easily go to Ijebu-Ode and all the other parts of Ogun State, and then, of course, Ondo and beyond. Okay, let's see what we got. Now, industry size and segments. So we try to look at various aspects of the real estate sector and estimate the market value. Now, when you look at these figures, they are frightening. But I want you to look at it in the manner that we are presenting it. These figures represent opportunities. These figures represent opportunities. For instance, please go to the next slide. Real estate construction is estimated to be over 40 trillion naira. That's the capacity of that sector. So anybody who wants to operate in that sector means that there is a lot of money available for you in that sector. Then we looked at land development, over 20 trillion. Buying and selling land. And of course, there are so many companies. If you drive from Bonny Camp all the way to Elomoro, you're going to see a lot of advertisements selling land. A lot of people selling land. That is estimated to be over 20 trillion naira. Building material industry to support the development is estimated to be about 13 trillion. Services, different forms of services, architectural services, rental services, just name it. estimated to be about 10 trillion. The property market itself is about 15 trillion. And there are others. So these are just a few that we picked just for you to look at what's happening in this sector. Quite a lot. Next slide, please. Now, these are the current trends that we're able to spotlight. There's increasing demand for affordable housing that we all attest to, right? Good. And then, of course, growing interest in sustainable and eco-friendly buildings. So there are lots of buildings because of the international connection and interest. So there are a lot of buildings, building structures now that are advertising sustainable ideals in their development. So we have a lot of that. There's a lot of technology now in real estate transactions and property management. You who are practitioners know what I mean by that. There's diversification in funding options. So today, before, if you wanted to talk about funding for real estate and any other business, you talk about the banks, right? But now there are diverse options. And so one of the benefits that you would get from this conference today is to meet with people who have other options that will help you fund your real estate dream. So I need you to be open-minded on that. So there are other functions. There is increased entrant of foreign investment, which also means a lot of money is coming in from the abroad, right? For real estate. Most of our brothers and sisters in diaspora have found out that one area that they can easily put in their growth in investment on and their financial resources is real estate. Okay, so it's easier to send money to somebody in Nigeria to buy you a property. It's easier that way than asking someone to run a business for you. So a lot of them are finding out that, and it's affecting the trend in the industry. There are also stiffer regulations. Can you please remain on that other slide, please? There are stiffer regulations from government. Last year, the Lagos state government came up with a policy that any building in Lagos that did not have government-approved plan would be demolished. I don't know if any of us is aware of that. And this year, they postponed and postponed and postponed. They kept extending it. But then this year, I think they started sometime in January. I have news of a few places where property had been demolished because of that. So that expresses stiffer regulations. Every time you hear of a building collapse in Lagos, it triggers the government to tighten the news more and more. So we have stiffer regulations now from the government with regards to real estate development. So that's a current trend. New and exciting government development driving activities in the sector, for instance, the coastal road that I've mentioned. Now, just constructing that road alone threw up a lot of things. A lot of things. Of course, I don't need to tell you that the price or the value for land and landed property on that corridor has automatically increased. Okay, so that's value for landowners and investors on that axis. Okay, so there's always negative and positive. But let's stay on the positive this morning. I'd like to see the next slide, please. Yeah, so these are some of the value chain in the sector. I've listed quite a number of them during the course of this presentation. Architecture and design, these are opportunities. So when we mean value chain, we are talking about the different areas of business surrounding the sector. Okay, so we're discussing real estate. So of course, architectural design and its allied products like survey and things like that come into that axis. So those are opportunities. Of course, engineering and construction. Of course, you can't talk real estate without talking engineering and construction. Property management, facilities management, all of those things come into that sector as well. Real estate financing, mortgage services, many other allied products under that financing platform. These are also opportunities. The realtor business itself is also a huge one. It's a value chain in the real estate sector. Real estate construction, and of course, multiple investment options. These are just a few. There are many more that are not here, but they all represent opportunities for you and I to play in. Okay, and the exciting thing, and one of the reasons we put up this conference today, is to say that you don't need to be a billionaire to play in the real estate sector. That's one thing I want you to go away with. During the course of this conference, we are going to have some of our panelists who started with little or nothing, and today are multiple successes in the sector. And so you may be looking at everybody and looking at the billions and billions and trillions that we are reeling out today, and you are like, hey, how can I play in this? No, you can, with your 100,000, with your 50,000. In fact, without money, you can play in real estate. I can tell you that. Maybe after the conference, come and meet me for consultation. Yes, you can play in the real estate sector without money. So everybody can play in this. Everybody can play in it. So the value chain is almost infinite. There are so many things that are happening within this sector that you can just pick one place and from there make off also your own money and be a success. Thank you. I'd like to see the next slide. So we tried to bring out some of the challenges, not to discuss them in depth, but just to spotlight them. Inadequate infrastructure, yes, of course. We have only one major road on this axis, and that's why you encounter all sorts of traffic congestion and all that. And things will continue to be tight for now, as long as these developments are ongoing. Inconsistent government policies. So today government gives you rights to build here, and then tomorrow they come back and say, no, we want to do something else with that land. So that's part of the policies that are inconsistent. Of course, we have issues with insecurity in the whole country. Absence of ready information. You cannot quickly go to any particular platform and get all the information that you need, all the information that you require if you want to buy land or you want to develop. I know there's not one platform that gives you all the information. And even any information you get, you will still have to probe and probe and probe. So that's a major challenge on its own. Then there are opportunities. For every challenge, there are opportunities. Every challenge is an opportunity. When people say, the population is increasing, that's a challenge for infrastructure development. But it's also an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity because with a higher in population also means higher demand for goods and services. And so anybody supplying goods and services will have a bigger market to participate in it. All right, so we have growing demand for housing. We all attest to that. That's the major thing that is driving the price because of the growing demand. Increasing investment in infrastructure, of course, is costing more and more money is coming in there. So that's also an opportunity. There are potentials for sustainable and eco-friendly buildings. I've spotlighted that earlier. Rising influx of residents from other states. Now, this is as a result of many things. For some people, it's as a result of insecurity. Some people are seeing Lagos as a more stable place for investment. So they are coming with their investment. So all these are opportunities for you and I who reside here or who live here or who do business in this part of town. Okay. And then, of course, increasing diaspora investment. I have mentioned that earlier. A lot of our brothers and sisters who live abroad now see real estate as a viable means to grow wealth, and they are investing. Of course, you and I know the exchange rate favors them. What you can do with $1,000, 1,000 naira, somebody with $1,000, will do it easily. Okay, can I look at the next slide, please? Profitability. Now, this is also subject to personal experience. All right. So, but across board, we know that the real estate sector gives you profitability ranging from 15% to 50%. Some even promise 100% and beyond. Now imagine the house that I told you about, where I live today, that had moved from 80 million to over 200 million. That difference is profitability. Okay? So it has its, so you can, that's more than 100%. Somebody who bought it 4 years ago at 80 million, selling over 200 million now, that's over 100% profit. So, but on the average, between 15 and 50%. I must also add here, since we're talking profit, that the higher the profit, the higher the what? The higher the what? The risk. The risk. So don't only be moved by profitability, also look at the risk. So today you may likely have offers on different things. The higher the profit, the more important it is for you to look critically at what you want to do. All right? So that's there. Then, of course, the opportunities for long-term wealth creation. A lot of people are beginning to find that real estate is a good place to hold value for a long time. Even if many other things drop value. Petroleum products can drop value today and tomorrow it can go up, it can come down. But I've not heard about houses dropping value. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying that it's not something that you see every day. Okay. It's a suitability of real estate as holder of value, and that can also be easily understood. And I go to my last slide, ladies and gentlemen, this morning, and I wish to say to you that the real estate sector in the Lekki Peninsula presents real opportunities for personal career development and huge investment platform for everybody. Everybody can play in the sector. That's why we're spotlighting it this year. Everybody can play in the sector, whether you are educated or not, whether you are a professional or not, whether you have the resources, capital or not, you can play in the real estate business. It's just for you to decide where you want to play. And every sector is highly rewarding. Okay? So I charge you today to take your chance for investment opportunities, partnership, information sharing, networking, and all of that this conference presents to you today. Do not just watch. I want you to do what? Take action. Thank you very much, and God bless you.